All right, guys, it is absolutely great to see some new faces around the Discord recently. So, a huge welcome to all you new MDX algo legends. And with the crypto market continuing to see some excellent volatility, and with everything happening around Binance currently, a lot of people are quite concerned with the market. But you guys know I don't really give a shit about news or anything like that because at the end of the day, the charts will tell the story. The structure in the charts is more important because it'll decide whether the news will even play a factor or not. If we just try and trade off the news before the charts show that reaction, I mean, then we can obviously get quite burnt. So I'm going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, some altcoins if you guys have altcoin requests later on. Go through a couple of my personal opinions. And as always, guys, touch on a few strategies I like to use for scalping. So I'll take a look at some degen timeframes, looking at the 1 minute and stuff like that later. It's just, it's so much easier for me to show you guys kind of what I look for in the indicators live if I'm looking at a shorter time frame like that. Obviously, scalping isn't for everybody, but it's still very valuable information to take from it. Just watching it live like that. So, and I'll be as far as not only just scalping entries, but also how I use the indicators for risk management and that sort of thing. So, again, welcome to the stream. We're gonna start by zooming right out on Bitcoin, taking a look at my weekly chart. I always like to start on the larger time frames and then kind of work my way in, you guys. So taking a look at this is going to be very familiar to a lot of you guys. But yeah, basically just looking at all the previous Bitcoin market cycles on my logarithmic chart. And I mean, the main structure that we broke here, I just think Bitcoin's in a beautiful place. I don't think it's going to go without turbulence, obviously, but I think we're in a pretty good place as far as the market goes. Not only did we end up, I mean, I go over this all the time, but as far as basic market structure goes, we had this low, we had a lower low. This would have been our lower high. We obviously broke that level. So that's a big macro shift as far as the trend goes. On top of that, if I just take a diagonal trend line, now this is on the logarithmic, so this could obviously change how your chart looks if you're on a regular time frame chart. But even just connecting kind of where our bear market kicked off there and just extending that trend line, you can see that we also broke that massive diagonal resistance. Even got a perfect flip on the logarithmic chart, just treating that resistance as new support. And basically, as soon as both those levels broke, I mean, Bitcoin's been in a very nice position ever since that. On top of that, yes, it makes perfect sense that we saw some resistance and we saw some struggling at this level for several months here, you guys. This is a weekly chart, so this is a long time frame here. But that's basically going from the support level of phase one of our bear market, basically, just where our bull market topped out and where we found support there before entering phase two of the bear market here. So to see us, confirm that level, that old support as resistance here, and then breaking above it currently, I mean, that just looks great from a macro time frame point of view. I am very bullish on Bitcoin as far as, you know, I absolutely think that we are in the next market cycle. I really don't expect us to see new lows. Obviously, anything can happen. There can be a black swan event. But I really think Bitcoin's in a very nice place. I absolutely see the possibility that we could pull back some, but I really don't expect us to revisit some of these lows or anything like that. Again, obviously anything can happen, but it's just not really what I'm expecting. And obviously I play shorter time frames anyways. I'm more of a scalper than a swing trader. But it's always good to just keep an open mind, what levels we can watch for on so many different time frames and that kind of thing. So what I'm currently watching for right now, so this will be old for a lot of you guys, but since we have so many new faces in the Discord, I just want to touch on the fact that pretty much every market cycle so far, we've seen massive rejections at that 618 Fibonacci. When I'm using the Fibonacci tool here, guys, I'm looking for rejection points and where I believe that we're going to see a big correction in the near future. I'm basically pulling these fibs from top to bottom of the market cycle, the current market cycle, because I'm looking for those resistance levels rather than support levels. So if we go back to previous market cycles here, you can see that we got a massive rejection at that 618. Go back another market cycle. I mean, obviously the same thing. This is a 40% correction here at that 618 level. But what I'm really interested to see is look what happens when we do get those weekly closes above. It's just, I mean, in the past, it's been parabola on. Obviously, history doesn't have to repeat itself, but that's definitely going to be an important level in the market. I mean, a lot of people are watching that level now, so maybe the market makers will just do some sort of a squeeze, target maybe some of these higher Fibonacci levels that I like on shorter time frames. I personally prefer the 786, 886. But, you know, on a macro time frame, it seems like the 618 has been a very important level. So I got to keep my eye on that level. And some interesting information that was brought to my attention by, it was Viking in the group. He had mentioned that, I believe it's the CBOE, I think that's the Chicago exchange, are set to move forward with holding Bitcoin and Ethereum, futures trading. Now, the last time we had something very similar to that would be when the CME futures ended up launching. A lot of people thought it was actually going to be very bullish for the space, and that we were going to absolutely moonship from there. That happened right about here. That happened right at our 20,000 top when the CME futures got posted there, or got launched. So that is January 11th. Where would that be here? Just basically somewhere in here. Now, just to tie that into my theory, and I'm not much for time analysis. I am more of a structure level kind of a guy. But something that would be interesting and that I'm kind of watching for is if maybe we are going to target that 618 for around that date. And that is kind of that black swan bit of an event, if you want to call it that. Not really a black swan event, but just a big market shift. I really do think we're going to see a harsh rejection at this level when we get there. Not only the 618 Fibonacci level, but it also lines up with some nice structure back here in the charts. And I mean, we're kind of getting close to that January date. So, I mean, it would make a lot of sense. I don't think it would take much at all for Bitcoin to target these higher levels within the next couple of months. Again, anything can happen, but another thing to consider, guys, is generally speaking, in a very strong trend, the 382 Fibonacci loves to be respected. That's this level right here, and you can see that we closed some weekly candles above that level, and we're even tapping away at it, retesting it as support. So that's also a little interesting thing, looking at the Fibonacci's on a longer time frame like this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. This is my 1 hour chart. And in my previous video, I actually had these blue lines mapped out that, you know, if we did get some kind of a bounce, just another resistance level to watch for, because I truly believe that horizontal levels are stronger. This is more so the resistance level that I'm interested in watching right now. Like if we end up getting some kind of a failed break like that, I mean, that might be a good shorting opportunity. But I quite often do like to look for diagonal trend lines as long as they have at least 3 exact touch points before they break out. You lost me? Me? Did my sound cut out? Oh, your screen went blank. Can everybody see my screen right now? Okay, no, we're all good. Okay, sorry, scared me there. So basically, guys, when I'm drawing diagonal trend lines, as I mentioned, I like to see at least 3 exact touch points. So I had this line mapped out here, just 2 connecting points, and expecting to see a 3rd exact touch point there, and we absolutely got that. And then we just ended up dumping, and this is kind of when we had that Binance news come out. It was interesting though, because that Binance article that came out, it didn't spark the initial selling back here. We didn't actually get that news until we saw this support trend line flipping into resistance. That's kind of where that news came out. So I mean, this correction here, with or without that news, that was a diagonal support line flipping into resistance. So I mean, in my opinion, this was just a natural market correction. I don't think that the market's in too bad of a position yet. Obviously, yes, anything can happen, and maybe we are just, it's just taking its time, letting some of that liquidity build up and gonna absolutely nuke from here. That's absolutely a possibility, but for as big of news as that whole Binance debacle was, I mean, this wasn't all too bad of a correction, you guys. And I mean, even if we end up here, I'm gonna bring up some of the indicators. This would be the advanced trend indicator. And I've mentioned this many times that one of my favorite strategies with this indicator is just noticing which way the W's are trending. And in this case, we have this low here, and we actually managed to set a higher low. Let's just flip that to green so it looks more bullish here. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense that we did see at least some sort of recovery yesterday. Actually, no, I think it was more it was the 4 hour that I was watching. Sorry. I had pointed this out that this is just a beautiful buy signal, you guys. I mean, it's already played out here, but this is one of the strategies that I love the indicator for, is noticing which way are these W's, which are the reversal warnings, just to bring those up in your settings here. That is the reversal warnings here. I changed the color to yellow so it's easier to see here. But yeah, I love using these when I'm scalping. I like to know kind of which way the market is trending, because obviously the trend is your friend. And this indicator just helps me with that so much. I mean, you look at this, so these are the highs, right? Obviously we have these bearish reversal warnings, but they're trending to the upside. So they're not necessarily sell signals, although yes, they absolutely could be nice sell signals. But what I'm more interested in is, hey, these W's are trending to the upside. And then I'm more interested in playing a long position when we end up getting the bottoms agreeing with that. So we have the tops trending to the upside. Now we have this low, and we have a higher low here. So that would have been, I mean, it's not valid until that candle closes. So it would have been valid right at this level. I mean, what kind of a move did we get there? We ended up getting, I think it was like a 5% move or something. Yeah, 4% move. For Bitcoin, that's a fairly nice size move. So, I mean, if you're scalping shorter time frame positions, I mean, that was an absolutely beautiful bullish signal to start scalping longs for how I trade, right? Because like I said, I'm less of a swing trader, more of a scalper. But even as far as a swing trader goes, I mean, same rules apply. I like to get into a position and start locking in profits fairly quickly, and updating my stop loss and that kind of thing, just to protect myself. So, I mean, even with a little bit of leverage, that 4% move there, that was a beautiful buy signal. And obviously now it would be time to start taking profits, because we are trading at resistance. But again, I only like to close part of my position early, and then I like to hope that I catch a home run with the rest. I'm not always looking for a home run trade, because that usually backfires. But if you can start paying yourself a little bit, at least taking those partial profits and letting the rest of the position run, hoping that, hey, maybe this it's currently showing us this as a supply zone here, but if the bulls can end up breaking us above my blue trend line here, and then ideally get some closes above this red resistance line from back here, I think in that case, that's where obviously, yeah, it would be great to have a position still running with at least half your position, kind of a thing. So like I said, more of a scalper myself, so I'm kind of doing that same sort of thing on more the 1 minute, 5 minute charts, stuff like that. But the rule that I've kind of been doing recently, just as far as another way of risk management and just paying myself, is whatever time frame that I'm actually trading, I like to start downsizing my position within about 10 candles. And that's just something that I've grown to enjoy doing, just because then, if your position isn't playing out the way that you thought it might, and it's just kind of struggling to gain that momentum on your side, maybe it's time to start thinking that, hey, maybe I'm wrong about this setup, so maybe I'm going to downsize my position just because I don't have as much faith in it anymore. And that way, I mean, hopefully you're already in a bit of a profit, even if it's small, at least you can lock something in. Or if you're kind of at break even, just downsizing just to reduce that risk and stuff like that, I think is very valuable as well. Max, you're not able to see my screen still? Everyone else is saying that they can see it and my screen is screening. But yeah. So that's just kind of one way that I love looking at these indicators as well. Let's just bring up some of these other indicators. Another thing that we had going with this higher low reversal warning here, we also had this very strong demand zone, as well as another one right below it, as well as my own range support box. I mean, there was just a lot of support looking out for Bitcoin there. So even with that FUD in the markets, I mean, obviously the bulls are still ready to step in and get into some bullish positions. So when we had that higher low W here, we also had a hidden bullish divergence as well as that little green dot here on the advanced oscillator down here. And as well up here, this would be the band oscillator. It also agreed with everything. This is one of those cases where we have all three of these indicators lining up. These have been my three favorite. I haven't had a chance to go through the new indicators that we just got yesterday. Like I said, I've had the flu, but as well, I had to get out and do a little Black Friday shopping with the family yesterday. So I was a little bit busy, but this is one of those cases with my personal favorite indicators so far. I'm obviously going to take a look at those soon and work them into my strategies as well. This is one of those cases where I see several of the indicators lining up in agreement, right? We have the bands oscillator giving us this trend exhaustion as far as if you're looking at the selling, that's just oversold, as well as a bullish pivot there. Then we have that higher low reversal warning. And then on this indicator down here, we have those hidden bullish divergences. So, and for those of you who don't know, regular divergences are typically trying to call more of a reversal, whereas hidden divergences are more going with the trend, just a continuation. So that's where I personally favor the hidden divergences a little more when I'm looking at trading, just because, again, the trend is your friend. And since the hidden divergences are generally looking at a continuation that's playing with the trend rather than trying to work against it, right? So I just find a lot of value there. So yeah, like I said, this is just one of those times where all three indicators are lining up absolutely beautiful for a nice buy signal there. So that's one strategy that I love to use. What can we look at? Another way that I want to... Oh, you got it back. Perfect. Welcome back. Yeah, just going to zoom in even further than that. We're going to take a look at the 5-minute chart here. I have this little bit of a range that I have mapped out, a bit of a falling wedge here. That's just kind of the range that I'm watching on the 5-minute. And then from there, I like to zoom in even a little bit further. So then that's where I start looking at the 1-minute. You can see that, oh, we actually just got a third perfect touch point of this trend line that I mapped out right before going live here. So this is one of those times where, you know, I love to see 3 exact touch points on a trend line before a breakout. So now that we got that third rejection here, I would be more likely to trust some kind of a breakout retest for an entry for a long position, something like that. If we only had these 2 touch points and we got a breakout right here, I would have been very, very hesitant to trust that. I would more so think that we're just coming up to our horizontal resistance and just going to get shut down as a bit of a fake out, as if this pattern never actually existed. So that's where I like to have 3 confirmed touch points at least before a breakout when I'm looking to breakout trade. Just a little bit of risk management that I like to work into my strategies there, because it can be easy to FOMO in if you're just set on the fact that, hey, this is in fact a falling wedge, but if it only has 2 touch points there and gets its breakout from there, I just don't know how much weight that line would carry. And obviously, take it for what it is, you guys. This is a 1-minute chart as well, so obviously longer time frames just carry a little bit more weight to them and typically are a little bit more accurate. But generally speaking, I look at the scalping time frames kind of the same. And then, so I'm just going to bring up an interesting way I really like to use these indicators as well. As you can see that I have a whole bunch of these advanced trends up. Now, as I mentioned, the advanced trend is probably my favorite indicator out of all of them. And if I go into my settings here, for those of you unfamiliar, I use trend 1 and trend 2. These are the first things that I really fell in love with these indicators about a year and a half ago. Is just that what's so valuable about this option is that I can be on something like a 1-minute chart, but then I can take a look at much longer time frames and have an idea of what the average of those longer time frames are doing, just so, because obviously you want a general idea what the longer time frame is up to from what you're trading, right? So basically what I did here is I loaded a whole bunch of these indicators. Only one of them has extra signals, just the reversal warnings and the supply and demand boxes. That's basically all I personally use on these indicators. I invert the colors as well, just so the colors of all the indicators I use kind of line up. So rather than having, just so that when we're coming down, that we're starting to see those bright green, just to kind of line up with the other indicators, right? Let's just see an example here. Yeah, perfect example would be back here. You know, we had a whole bunch of green candles. We see this indicator up here starting to give us some green signals. We have this indicator down here giving us a bunch of green. And as well, even the stablecoin indicator down here. You can see that we're just kind of starting to flip a bunch of green signals. So that's why I have the inverted colors on the candles, just because I really like everything to kind of line up with each other like that. But yeah, other than that, all I really use, or the reason why I have all these advanced trends up, is just because I love to see kind of what all the time frames are up to. Basically, when I'm looking at my scalping time frames, whether it's the 1 minute or sometimes, I know maybe some of you guys have seen that we often joke around a little bit because some of us are looking at the 15-second charts, the 5-second charts. I'm not going to overwhelm you with that kind of stuff. But I love to bring up basically all the trends. So I'm on EMA currently, and I have all the EMA trends basically from 1 minute up to an hour is what I like to have up while I'm scalping. Yeah, 69x trading the 1 microsecond charts. Yeah, that's pretty much sums up my behavior. So for those of you here with me, I should, full disclosure, I'm kind of a degen of the group. I like trading with high leverage, short time frames and that kind of thing. But obviously it's whatever works for you, right? I mean, like I said, trading the 1 minute is not for everybody. It can lead to over leveraging, revenge trading, over trading in general. Just it can put you in a bad spot. So understand that I am using risk management when I'm trading with ridiculously high leverage. My margin amount figured into that is obviously figured out. I know how much I'm going to lose before I enter a trade, because you always want to be ready for worst case scenarios. So I really do want to make that clear, you guys. This is not for everybody. But like I said, I like to bring up these shorter time frames just to show you how I look at things live. So yeah, exactly. MDX. A true trader can trade any time frame. And that's kind of where I go back to, earlier I mentioned that whatever time frame I'm trading, I like to be downsizing my position within about 10 candles. That goes for any time frame. So yeah, if I'm trading the 15-second chart, for example, being true degen, I am absolutely closing my position within a couple minutes. So whether you want to call it flip-flopping or just playing whatever time frame you're actually on, I'm not going to be entering a position on a 15-second chart and looking for the type of move you're going to get off a 1 hour or a 4-hour chart, right? So just something to consider there, and why I kind of came to that timeline rule, just that I want to be downsizing very quickly. Just can save you some pain in the ass. So basically guys, all these lines you see here, these are all these EMA trends that I have up. And that's why I have so many up. Like I said, I can be on the 1 minute chart, but I have the 1 minute trend, the 3 minute trend, 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute, 1 hour. I think I even have the 3 hour and the 4 hour EMAs up here. So, and I believe this was the 4 hour. Let me just check something here. Oh, maybe not. I'm thinking of a different coin. But yeah, basically the way I use these, again, I really like to know which way the W's are trending, but as well just kind of looking for those bullish crosses on the EMAs. Like, I know this is Captain Hindsight, but I think there's valuable information here is, we started seeing these EMAs all starting to cross bullish. On top of that, we have these W's, low, higher low again. The highs, I mean, higher high, they're all kind of trending to the upside. This is one way that I like to, when I talked about using these strategies or these indicators for risk management, here would be a good example where, this is a little bit of a warning to me that we all of a sudden, we lost our trending W's to the upside here, and we actually got a lower low here. This is one of those times where this itself isn't necessarily a sell signal, but that is where I start to consider taking profits if I was in a long position, let's say from here, because I had this higher low here, as well as the higher highs. Beautiful entry right here. If something like this happened, I would be considering starting to downsize my position just because this was a little bit of a warning. From there, obviously, we just started trending W's to the upside again. As well as here, same thing. They started trending to the upside again. Then we end up getting, this would be another concerning sign where all of a sudden we have a lower high. This is where I would be strongly considering closing most of my position. Just because it is kind of looking like, hey, these W's are starting to reverse here. And as well, this is a very high entry or a high sellout, right? I mean, to take this little bit of a downsizing the position, you're obviously not getting too much for profits because it is on the downswing here. But something like this where you're getting this warning that, hey, the market may be reversing here a little bit, and you're able to get out very close to the top if this is going to be some kind of a double top, basically. That's where I would be considering closing a very large portion of my position. And then, even right now, we're getting a bit of mixed signals now because our lows started trending to the downside again, but our highs actually did get very, very slightly higher. So, I mean, I personally like to use this strategy when I see that both the tops and the bottoms are in agreement, basically. Another thing that I like to throw into these strategies, one of my favorite trading tools outside of the indicators, is, like I was pointing out on the longer time frames, guys, Fibonacci's. This would be one of those times I can pretty much eyeball it right here. As I was talking about with this downward sloping W here, on top of that, if I pull and look for a rejection from basically where we topped out to the swing low from there, well, guess what? As I mentioned earlier, I love the 886, 786 Fibonacci pocket. Look how bang on that was with a lower high W. That was absolutely that was a phenomenal scalping entry. I would take that every time if I happened to see it. I never did see it. I wasn't looking at the chart at the time, but that's one of my favorite ever scalping setups right there. I mean, your stop loss could be so tight in that situation that you can really crank up the leverage and that kind of thing. Not financial advice, of course. But those are the times where I can get those real nice tight stop losses. So yeah, even though it's not going to work out every time, just the risk reward there, I mean, it was absolutely beautiful there. So that's, yeah, it's too bad that never happened while we're live or anything like that, because that is one of my favorite scalp setups right there. Yeah, what do we got going on now here? And, you know, looking at things on the opposite end right now, just kind of looking at this current 1 minute swing here. That's where something I would love to see as far as a buy signal would be looking at, hey, let's just check our Fibonacci's. This time I'm looking for a support bounce, so I'm pulling bottom to top. You guys know I absolutely love this Fibonacci pocket, so if we could see some kind of a higher low W come into play here in this range, I would absolutely like to take that as a swing at a long, basically. And again, obviously, risk management, guys. I know how much I'm going to lose before I enter that position, basically, and very tight stop loss, depending on what kind of leverage you're using, obviously. But when I'm looking at a high leverage, like MDX was saying, if I'm scalping the 1 minute with 69x leverage, I want a very tight stop loss. Basically, I'm looking at it as, hey, either this signal is it's either going to be successful, or this is a failed signal. We lose this higher low trajectory and basically break below our previous W. That's where I'm saying there's basically a change in structure with the W's. Not saying it has to be, absolutely it could still just be some kind of a fake out and take off from there. But just as far as looking at my own rules, I'm just not comfortable with it anymore once it breaks that upward trajectory like that. Yeah, exactly. I've been using this the W scalping strategy for probably close to a year now. As far as the trends, looking at reversal warnings off the 1 hour EMA trend and stuff like that. That's basically the first scalping strategy I ever came up with these indicators, and yeah, that was well over a year ago. That's basically when I fell in love with these indicators, because when you're looking at a 1 minute chart, and even if you're not as much of a scalper as me, for example, and you don't want to be seeing, or let's say you have a lower version of trading view, so you can't have all these EMAs up, for example. Which one is the 1 hour? 1 hour and 30 minute here. Let's just close the other ones. So this, actually, the 1 hour here, let me just have the 1 hour up. One of these should disappear in a sec, just loading. Oh, it's actually the red one. I would have guessed it to be the other one. I actually want to bring up the 30 minute again, because this was also a very good signal. Is when you get those reversal warnings right along these EMA trends. I guess I got to bring those W's up because they were only on the other version. It's one of my favorite. Well, again, just another one of my favorite strategies. I know every stream I go over these with you guys. But this is just one of my favorite setups ever. And again, with such a tight stop loss, basically we get this reversal warning here right off one of these trends. I don't even really care what time frame trend it is. Just seeing how well it's respected like that, almost touched it bang on, and seeing this reversal warning, which closed right here. I mean, you could have used that as a buy entry. Stop loss just below, basically, because either this reversal along that EMA is successful or it's a failed signal. Very tight stop loss there. Like, what are we looking at? Looking at something like a 0.1%. So, I mean, even at 100x leverage, that's only a 10% loss. Obviously, not going with your entire account size or anything. Don't be silly with your bankroll management. If you're using more sane leverage, let's say even 20x, because it's shorter time frame, so obviously you're going to be using higher leverage. But even 20x, what are you looking at? Basically a 2% loss there. So I mean, very tight setups. And look, I mean, waiting for the next reversal signal. What kind of a move was that? Would have been effective right here. So yeah, it would have been a 3-to-1 risk reward, because if you were 20x, for example, that signal would have came in at about a 6% profit. If you were 100x, then it would have been a 31% profit. And 3 times the amount you would have lost, just because it's such a tight stop loss on that kind of a setup. I've got some, and that's one of those times where I wouldn't necessarily be looking to close my whole position. Just me personally, I like to have a bit of a position running so that I don't accidentally, or don't feel the FOMO that I want to get back into a position, because all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh man, that was such a good entry, I wish I still had it. Then you start entering at times where you shouldn't with the same amount of leverage and stuff like that, and it can really spiral downward pretty quick. So I like to leave a good chunk of my position running and then hope to catch a runner with this, because I've had these types of setups where my stop loss have been within $25, $30 and caught several $1,000 moves. I know one that I had not too long ago. I guess it would have been a month or two ago, but I think it was something like my stop loss was about $30 away because I had a reversal warning along the 1 hour EMA trend. And with a $30 or $35 stop loss, whatever it was, I ended up catching about a $4,000 move with half my position. So, I mean, the risk reward there after I was obviously scaling out on the way. It's not like I caught that whole move with everything, right? Because again, we're not expecting those home run trades, but we want to leave some open because you can at least welcome that home run if it is pitched down the plate at you, right? But even after scaling out of my position along the way, it ended up being something like a 40-to-1 risk reward or something. It was absolutely insane. And that's exactly why I love seeing these reversal warnings along these trends, because yes, like I said, it's not going to work every time, but quite often you can get such a nice tight stop loss that it can be a very nice position. Exactly. Like I said, take the home run if you can, but don't expect it. And that's why I am very close to, or very quick to close at least a quarter or even half of my position when I'm scalping these shorter time frames. Perfect example is I've been trading TIA lately, scalping it a little bit because it's had some nice price action. And, here's a perfect example of the strategy I like to use. This was actually the 4 hour trend. Let me just bring that up. Yeah, that was the 4 hour. We ended up losing this support. Came down, ended up setting a lower high W here. Boom, I was sold. I wanted to be a part of this because especially that the market did seem like it was pulling back today after yesterday's nice little bounce there. And this coin has been so volatile. I wanted to get into a short here, but I was starting to take profits really quick here, you guys. And here was one of those examples, we had these W's on the bottom, all of a sudden flipped to we set a higher low here. And, that's good enough for me. I'm in a profit. It's always good to be in a profit and start paying yourself. So that's where I closed a quarter of my position. And then basically same thing happened right here. Ended up closing another quarter of my position. Basically shortly before I started streaming, had another one, close another quarter of the position, then you just hope the rest runs. And right now, these EMAs are all kind of curling to the downside. We do have this look into, we're setting a low, lower low. Yes, the W's on the upside had this little bit of a warning that it might start trending back to the upside. Actually, we even did. Here would be one of those failed signals, actually. We had these W's technically trending to the upside. Then we had this low, had a higher low. If I was looking for a new entry, I mean, yeah, I might have been tempted to take that entry right here. And the stop loss would have been basically down here. So a very tight stop loss if I was in that kind of a trade. Again, just another way that I like to use this strategy as far as the entry and risk management side of things. But as it stands right now, yeah, we have the low and we have a new lower low. So now something interesting to see would be if we do in fact get another lower high, especially if it lined up with one of these supply zones or something like that. Love to see that kind of a thing. Reference lower time frame to the higher in order to find more conviction in the trade continuing. Yeah, for sure. But it depends. Like I said, I really like these strategies. And since I am more of a scalper, I am more quickly to get out of my positions. If I have I guess if I am feeling the longer time frame a little more, then yes, I'm more likely to, let's say, leave half my position open, for example. Because the thing is, I like to use these signals. If I'm using these signals as an entry, I may as well be using them as a take profit as well, right? Kind of work hand in hand. And that way, no matter what, if let's say I'm in a profitable position and I'm like, yeah, I think the longer time frame it's going to continue in my favor, at least even if I'm wrong on the longer time frame, then at least I'm still locking in some profit along the way. So that's where I still like to scale out pretty quickly. I guess I'm just not comfortable being in leverage positions for very long because I mean, I do use 69x leverage, 100x leverage sometimes. So yeah, when I'm when I'm getting into those high leverage positions, I absolutely want to be starting to make sure I'm downsizing my risk very quickly, basically. But yeah, absolutely. Depending how I feel on the longer time frame, I'm like right now, for example, the fact that Bitcoin is having a hard time with some of this resistance that I was pointing out earlier. Since, you know, the market could absolutely take another dump to the downside. Now that we came back in contact with this horizontal resistance, we have this supply zone, stuff like that. That's another reason why I'm hoping to just let this position on tier run, basically. Is because I think, yeah, the market could still be in a state that, you know, maybe that Binance debacle is still going to affect the market a bunch. Who knows? I don't really care. I'm just going to trade the charts as they come anyways. But that's why I want to leave a part of my position open just in case, right? Fees with those high leverage trades, honestly, they haven't bothered me much. I've mostly been doing my DGen high leverage trading on the MEXC exchange, and they do have very low fees. And so, yeah, I don't know. I haven't really noticed them bug me because also when I'm taking those high leverage trades, I mean, those percentages are flying relatively quickly. And when I said I'm downsizing very quickly, usually my first take profit is going to cover quite a bit more than what the fees are anyways. So I haven't really noticed the fees bug me at all, to be honest. I know it absolutely can be a thing depending on your position sizing, what exchange you're on, that kind of thing. It just hasn't bothered me too much. And that's another reason why I like to take profits quickly, though, just to make sure that I'm at least covering the fees. Yeah, Mexi. Oh, MDX, you're on there now. I didn't realize you had a link there. Yeah, I really like that exchange, to be honest. It has ridiculously high leverage. It has a lot of altcoin pairs. It gets a lot of the lower cap altcoins fairly early as well. They're no KYC. I've really enjoyed using them. I've basically, being I'm in Canada, we have some of the stricter regulations. So as soon as I lost access to Bybit, I basically went to MEXC, and I've been using it since. I think that was since July or something like that, and I have no complaints. I think their app works well. Their website works well. No KYC. Yeah, and you know, who knows? I have noticed that, like, you know, as exchanges become more popular, then all of a sudden they're KYC. I absolutely think that, you know, it's only a matter of time until they gain enough traction that all of a sudden the governments are after them and that kind of thing. So I'm sure they'll eventually be KYC, just like what happens to everybody. But as it stands right now, I've enjoyed using them. Yeah, follow Stu for all your DGen trading knowledge. You get it. Yeah, I've been using BitGet as well, Ronald. Same thing, lost Bybit in Canada. I've probably had 10 or 15 different exchanges now in the last couple of years be like, oh, sorry, Canadian user, you're going to have to cease using our exchange. So I like to always have a few exchanges on the go just because I've been through that so many times. And really, if you're looking at signing up at no KYC exchanges, generally speaking, the process takes a few minutes. It's not a big deal. But yeah, I've been mostly using MEXC and BitGet and BingX. Those are the three exchanges I've been using recently. I'll definitely be looking at using Alpha Pro more once there's a mobile app, because quite often I'm on the go when I'm looking at charts and stuff. Just assuming there's going to be one someday. I honestly don't know. But I would definitely use that a lot too. Um, but yeah, I think BitGet is actually going to be KYC for Canada now, like, if not right now, in the next week or two. I know it's coming very quickly. Yeah, guys, if you want to decentralize exchange and totally skip the whole mess of know your customer and finding a good exchange, MDX has his own decentralized exchange there. I've used it a few times. I really like it. And just like these indicators, I know that the whole team that develops these really take pride in how they look, how they feel, all that sort of thing. So bullish on Alpha. Yeah, MDX with his BingX, you have access to his trading bot there as well. Speaking of bots, you guys, I wanted to look at Prop C as one of my altcoins, because this is one of the bags that I've just been spot buying a little bit here and there of. Absolutely nailed the bulk of my entry on this little double bottom we had here at $1.18. It's now up. What kind of a percentage are we looking at here? Currently at a 61% profit there. But like I said, speaking of bots, just kind of a new trading strategy that I've started using, and I'm sure a lot of you guys probably already do it. I've just only really done leverage trading and spot trading, but I started looking into grid bots. And because this is one project that I am interested in holding for, the mid to long term here, because it has such a low market cap, I've actually started running a grid bot on this thing, because and this is on BitGet, and basically what I'm looking at it doing is it's just accumulating Prop C tokens for me for free. So there's pros and cons that go with that. The pros being the grid bots don't lose trades, because they just buy and then they don't have stop. Well, you can set a stop loss, but they just basically set buy orders and sell orders in a range depending how many grids you want it broken into. And I would love to trade this Prop C with spot or whatever, just to try and accumulate more for free, because that's actually how I learned trading back in the last bear market here. The way I got into trading, I never started with leverage. I started with spot trading, and to keep my emotions out of the money side of things, I was just trying to collect coins for free on the way down. So that's kind of one thing that interests me with my longer term holds, is I don't really care what the dollar value is doing. I more so just want to collect free coins, and these grid bots will absolutely do it for me for free. So they don't lose trades. They're constantly just making me a few extra tokens for free. Obviously, if the value of the coin is dropping, then yes, the bot is showing that yes, it's losing because it's losing value. But however it works out, I'm still just going to have more Prop C as it's running. So the one downside, and why I don't use my entire position, for example, I like to only use about 20-25% of my holdings, kind of a thing, in the grid bot. If this thing absolutely moons and breaks through some of this, my bot is going to be done selling all of its spot positions, and I won't be riding potentially a beautiful pump to the upside. So that's why I don't do it with my entire position. Not going to get greedy with it that way. But I do like to use it also as a bit of a hedge, right? If the value of Prop C does start just falling off a cliff, at least it's softening the blow by buying and selling on the way down and just accumulating the few extra tokens or whatever. And one reason that I wanted to really mention this coin is, for one, I do see the potential that we're coiling up in a nice, beautiful kind of a triangle. I see potential for a nice move if we do break out. You'll see, this coin is so new that I think the market cap is around 10 million or something like that. So we're going to have to see what happens. But I have a couple. There's really not much for resistance up ahead if we break out of this range is the thing. The only little bit of resistance I see is this red box I mapped out here. You'll probably know where I'm going with this, but again, looking at Fibonacci's pulled top to bottom, that's my 786, 886 Fibonacci pocket. So yeah, we might see some turbulence there, as well as that red horizontal resistance. Other than that, we don't really have any resistance. You could look for some fib extensions and that kind of thing. Or again, just looking for a third touch point on a trend line. I mean, this is all I can really find to extend, you know, depending, obviously this does not have to happen, and there's a lot of ifs between now and then, but there's potential for a big move there. And on top of that, why it's really gained my attention today is they announced that they will be launching on MEXC on November 30th. And as well, they announced that they're going to be listing on a few other exchanges in the next few months. But since I use MEXC, I'm a partner with MEXC, I've really enjoyed them. And since I like that project, I'm excited to see it hop over there as well. Especially if BitGet's going to get into KYC and shit like that. I'd rather have it on MEXC. Yeah, what else can we look at? For those of you who are new here too, I'm just going to throw this out there. I do always post these streams just basically as fast as they'll upload afterwards. I usually have these streams uploaded on my own small YouTube channel here within a couple hours. I will also be sharing them on the Academy, on the MDX Algo webpage. But yeah, just if you want them a little quicker, they do end up on my YouTube channel here. So this one should be uploaded in case you came late or if you missed anything, whatever. I do post these here. So be sure to give me a subscribe there if you appreciate the things I have to say. We are sitting at about an hour here. I am feeling a little tired. Like I said, I've been battling a flu all week here, so gonna probably lay down here soon. Does Stu Rocks? Ah, thanks. You guys are the best. Stock poker AI Doge, I believe so. I don't know if I want to look. Yeah, whatever. AI Doge. Were you here with me? I ended up taking along on AI Doge during stream one time, and I can't remember if I did 5x or 20x. It ended up hitting like 1700% or something a couple days later. Spot. I thought it was also on leverage on Max. Where was I trading it with leverage? Well, either way, it was my biggest percentage trade for sure. Not my biggest trade, but it was hilarious. Again, one of those times I obviously didn't hold the position for that long. I was just like scaling out along the way. But yeah, that was a fun one. AI Doge. What else here? You liked FTX? You know, I'm happy that I only put a little bit of money on FTX very briefly. There was a way, a type of options trading I was looking at getting into, because my buddy who actually runs a hedge fund in the States was kind of teaching me a little bit about how he trades options. So I put a little bit of money on FTX because I saw that they had that, but it ended up being a little bit different of a style. So I ended up just taking my cash out right away, basically, and then they folded, less than a month later, I think. What else here? Let me catch up on a few messages here. Yeah, does anyone have any questions, any requests, anything while you still got me here? Because we are at about an hour. I am going to start wrapping up here. Yes, Arash, Bing, MDX has a link for BingX. You can trade, it's crypto, Forex, stocks, commodities, It basically has it all. I'm pretty impressed with their exchange actually so far. And again, you get access to his bot too if you're interested in that. Yeah, anything that makes you money, you like it. Absolutely, and especially with something like a bot that's just gonna go whether you're looking at it or not. It's always good to have something watching your back while you're sleeping, while you're not looking at the charts, while you're not glued to them like I usually am. My biggest altcoin microplay would definitely be Prop C. Prop C have a little bit of SMT, swarm markets, back when Max had first talked about that. I know a bunch of us got into it. How many monitors at the workstation? Good question. 3. Because generally speaking, when I'm hanging out in my little DGen cave here, I usually have a video game up, the charts up, and YouTube up. So I like to have at least 3 monitors on the go. Yeah, SMT I have a little bit of. Prop C would be my bigger one. I sold my tap a long time ago, and I have a small bit of that UOS Ultra as well. Thanks, Slick. Casper, no. You know, I took a couple trades on it, but I never actually spot bought into it at all. How to set alerts on the advanced oscillator to trigger in the upper overbuy area zone and lower over sell area zone. To be honest, I haven't played around with the alerts very much. I assume, can you just add alert on MDX Trendmaster Advanced Oscillator? To be honest, I don't know exactly how that works. I don't know if you can just pick a level or draw a trend line and right click and add alert. Aside from that, I don't know. Has anyone else had luck with using alerts on the advanced trend? Yes, you can. Okay, perfect. Yeah, and this looks like, yeah, oscillator bearish. That's when I clicked it up here. So I assume when we kind of get up into this bearish territory here, that's where that alert's going to kick in. I could be wrong on that because, like I said, I haven't done it. Me personally, when I do set alerts, I do on trend lines more so than indicators. But I like to set my alerts to go once per minute just because no matter what I'm doing, if it's an important one, I don't care if I'm sleeping or what. I want my phone to basically alert me every minute until I check it. But whatever your personal preference is, right? Yeah, MDX, get some sleep. What time is it for you? It's usually like 5 a.m. when you're here at the end, I think. 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Fortnite after the stream. Nice, Ron. I was thinking, it's funny. I don't stray when it comes to video games. I've been playing Diablo 2 for about 20 years. I tried Diablo 4 for about a month and then went back to 2 and League of Legends. Those are basically the 2 games that I play. But I'll probably just be hitting the couch, get some rest here. Anyways, guys, Yeah, if you appreciated watching this stream a little later on my YouTube channel and appreciated this video, please do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. If you want access to these beautiful indicators with the VIP Discord, as well as a couple no KYC crypto exchanges, I've got some links down below for some special bonuses, discounts, and so on. And with that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.